Crazy we live in a world where we have to have a limit 2 per guest for a cup.
The Stanley Tumbler.
The Stanley Quencher Cup.
I love my Stanley Cup.
Go Stanley! The hashtag Stanley Cup racking up 6.7 billion views on TikTok.
Doors are open and they start running and pushing. Got mine secured, but now they starting to argue.
Over the past few days, you've probably heard about Stanley Cups, and you've likely been scratching your head saying, I don't understand the hype behind it. But by the end of this video, you will. And no, it's not about the cup itself. This isn't some magical new invention that's going to make your world significantly better. Like everybody's already been saying, it's just a cup. What's more interesting than the Stanley Cup itself is the mass hysteria surrounding it. The way people have turned into drones over mundane items, shivering in a Target parking lot for hours in the freezing cold, getting ready to partake in a brawl. What would make a person want to do this? The first topic of 2024 is about a cup. Hello everybody, Happy New Year. I was originally going to make my first video of 2024 be about the worst YouTubers of 2023. I have already recorded it. I was in the middle of editing it when I have come across something so bizarre and out of left field.
Standing by! I'm coming!
Turn it over. No. It's okay. We're gonna call law enforcement. They'll take care of it.
So for those of you who have been on the internet for the past 48 or so hours, you have probably heard about the Stanley Cup by now. People are going crazy over these cups. They are just these tumblers that have gotten really popular over the past year. Over the past 2 days, people have been going insane for these cups at places like Target. Now, I actually have one of these cups. Now, before you come for me, this was a gift. My husband got it for me as a gift, and this was back in like September. I actually like it. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I hate this cup because it's fun to hate on it right now. I do have a lot of concerns. It's a stainless steel container that holds liquids. Does its job pretty well, unless you knock it over, because the big drawback that a lot of people have pointed out is the fact that it has like a straw. So I would say since about Christmas time, the popularity for this particular cup has really amplified. People started filming their kids unwrapping gifts on Christmas Day, and when they would get the cup, they would start crying tears of joy. Really what this all comes down to is marketing, by the way. So first of all, we have videos coming out over the past few days of people standing outside of their Targets for hours trying to get this limited edition Stanley Cup. There were these Valentine's Day editions, which I don't know were exclusive to Target, but people were raiding their Targets as soon as the doors opened to get them. And then there was this special edition collaboration with Starbucks and Stanley Cups that were sold at Target, and people were going insane over those as well. And the Starbucks Stanley Cups were pink, the Valentine's Day Stanley Cups were red, pink, and then they had like these other things, like these smaller cups that weren't the 40-ounce sippy cup with a lid. Now, back when I was in school, I had actually studied marketing for a little bit. There was a small portion of that class that talked about psychology in mass marketing. I see a few things once in a while that I'm like, oh, I realize what they're doing. One thing that immediately caught my eye with these Stanley Cups and this craze that has been going on the past few days really comes down to supply and demand. And while there is not that high of a demand for a regular cup, there is a demand when you make something seem so popular and people cannot get their hands on it, and only those who are very exclusive can obtain it. It becomes a symbol of status in a way. In this case, the exclusivity refers to those who waited outside of their local Target for several hours in the cold to get their hands on it. The Valentine's Day Stanleys and the Starbucks Stanleys were marketed as limited edition items. Once a limited edition item sells out, it's gone. You've lost your chance to get it. So then it adds competition on top of everything else. But how is it pushed to a larger audience outside of people who already know about Stanley Cups? In a market where there was no real high demand for a specific container of liquids, considering there are millions of cups to choose from if you require one, how did the Stanley Cup gain so much popularity and desire? Well, for one, the knowledge of this cup really took off after footage of a Stanley surviving a car fire went viral. After this video went viral, the president of the Stanley brand made this video, where he wanted to replace her car and give her new Stanley Cups.
Hey Danielle, my name is Terrence Riley. I'm the president of Stanley. And we've all seen your video. Wow, what an ordeal. And we're all really glad you're safe. Thanks for sharing the video because, wow, it really shows how our Stanleys are built for life. Because what it went through with you, I couldn't think of a better example of our product's quality. But anyway, we're glad you're safe. I've seen a lot of comments that we should send you some Stanleys. Well, we're gonna send you some Stanleys. But there's one more thing. We've never done this before, and we'll probably never do it again. But we'd love to replace your vehicle.
But how often does one need their cup to survive a car fire? In fact, most of the people who are now very obsessed with Stanley Cups seem to be too young to drive a car. And don't worry, we will soon get into how this went from something that was marketed to adults who had a busy schedule and just wanted a nice cup to being infiltrated by a younger demographic. And when we get to that point, it will be sadder than you think, as this extends to several other products that are popular right now and goes down a very interesting rabbit hole. I know you didn't think that talking about a cup would be this deep, did you? Anyway, well, some might say this demonstrated the cup's durability, attracting people who might want something long-lasting. I'd say its biggest purpose was to introduce its name, grabbing attention using something extreme like a car fire, whether this was accidental or not. You know what else grabs attention? Seeing lines of people waiting outside of stores before they open. Maybe the video of the Stanley surviving the car fire wasn't enough to make you want one. What is more likely to make you want something? Whether you're conscious of it or not, seeing everyone around you wanting and having something specific will increase the chances of you wanting that specific thing as well. You see all of your friends getting one, you turn on the TV and it's all over the news, you open TikTok and it's going viral, it's everywhere, it's inescapable. Over the past few days after I've looked into this, I have discovered that this brand has been around for quite a while, and they have actually made this type of cup before. When they had made that cup before, nobody wanted it. They were known for camping gear and they made these cups and they did not sell well at all. It had gotten to the point that once all of these particular cups were out of stock, they did not create more to resell because the sales were so poor. Now, at some point over the past few years, their market had changed. They became advertised to women and girls and it took off. And now it's going to continue to grow in popularity as these videos come out of people going crazy in Targets all over trying to get these cups, and they sell out so fast. For some reason, this target demographic just got younger and younger and younger, and now it seems like there are two types of people that really want this cup now more than ever. Like I had mentioned in the beginning of this video, 6 or so months ago, when I heard people talking about Stanley Cups, it was more people my age, people who were working, people who were nurses, people who were on the go, people working office jobs and teachers and stuff. From what I remember and the people that I know who have had one and the people who I have seen have one, it seemed to be really attractive for somebody who was on the go or had a busy lifestyle and just wanted a large cup to drink a good amount of water or whatever else they want to drink. But another thing is that over the past few months, this market has gone from women who had a busy schedule now going to preteens. It's really sad when you dive down that rabbit hole too. What you find out is there really isn't anything in the market to cater towards young girls. For example, anybody who's my age or even a little bit younger would remember that, we grew up with places like Claire's, Limited 2. I mean, malls were just more popular. There were stores that catered to younger kids, and it just seems like now they don't really have anything, so they go to what adults have, which right now is a Stanley Cup, and I constantly keep seeing TikToks from both shoppers and employees talking about the horrors of preteens raiding stores like Sephora and Ulta. Some even call Sephora the new Claire's. Every TikTok I've seen has had the same story in common, where they explain how preteens are going absolutely batshit insane over skincare products and particular name brands and being horrible to the people that work there, allegedly. These are a lot of stories that I constantly have been seeing over the past few weeks since the holidays have ended. And ironically enough, since the holidays have ended is when we started seeing more craze about the Stanley Cups. And I don't think that that's coincidental. Like I mentioned earlier, people filming their kids unwrapping the Stanley Cups and other items and just like crying tears of joy, but the items just seem mundane. Or kids getting gift cards to places like Sephora because they want to shop at Sephora so bad, and they buy a lot of really expensive skincare that they don't necessarily need. I keep seeing people talk about how these kids keep coming into the store requesting retinol products, which are products that really you don't need and shouldn't necessarily use until you're in your mid to later 20s and upwards. But kids, according to Sephora employees, have been buying out a lot of retinol products. I don't know how bad that could be for somebody's skin. I don't even know if there are studies that can show how bad that could be for a younger person's skin, since it is meant for more mature skin. But even the products without retinol in it, the skincare products that are a little bit more gentle for anybody to use, it seems like kids are just going crazy for this stuff. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, compared to when I was younger, girls who were in their early teens and upwards were constantly going in tanning beds, and that was way, way worse in my opinion. I think people are just more mad about the fact that there's such a high level of consumerism to the point where it feels like people are being mindless drones over it, when in reality, this is marketing tactics that have been used for years. It's just right now focused very heavily on very particular things. And I'm sure this time next year, there will be another really hot item that people will go crazy for. But I do wonder if these items will become more and more mundane, especially when marketed to teens and preteens. They go from being a kid to instantly feeling the need to be an adult. A lot of people blame things like social media, TikTok, Instagram, and in these Sephora videos that I constantly see being mentioned on TikTok, a lot of people talk about the generation of the iPad kids that are coming into these stores and buying these products. There was even a thing going around with a Christmas list of this kid wanting all of these random expensive things, and only one or two of the items on that list felt like a kid's item, which was like a stuffed animal. To be completely fair, I see this in two ways. I see some people complaining, back when I was a kid, I wanted dolls or toys, or there was this thing that was out that really catered to me at that time, and kids are just so grown up nowadays. And I get that, but the louder discussion that I hear is not related to that at all. Most people don't even seem to care that it's kids at all that are buying these products, aside from the one mention of the retinol situation, because again, studies have shown that retinol is made for people with more mature skin and not children. But aside from that one thing, people have mentioned that a lot of the children who are in these stores seem to be ruthless, for a lack of a better term, intense and aggressive, and seem to have nasty attitudes towards the people around them in their space. There was one TikTok I saw of a girl who wasn't even an employee, she was just shopping there, and she was basically describing harassment from like a 10-year-old. A lot of people have also mentioned that when these kids are in these stores, the parents are either not around, or if they are, they're not really paying attention to them. They're talking about such a lack of disrespect, wondering where the parents are, and I think it is valid to agree with people who fear that this is the beginning of what we are to expect when it comes from younger kids who have had an iPad replace being raised by adults. But at the same time, I want to flip this coin to the other side and talk about how there does seem to be just a resentment towards anything that kids seem to like. I haven't seen people get this angry over this when these cups were popular months ago. They were just a popular cup. But now that this is shifting to a younger demographic, it seems like people absolutely despise it, and people despise parents who get their kids a cup. It's a cup. As long as you're not acting insane trying to get one at a store.
Stand anymore, I'm coming!
And you're not selling them online for triple the price. Resellers have been very hard at work here. If you go on like Facebook Marketplace, these cups are being resold for hundreds of dollars. There's no way that this can be real. When I was looking this up, I found this on eBay. This is pure insanity. If you like the cup for its style, but you don't want to pay the price that it is, because it is pretty overpriced in my opinion, I'm sure that if you wanted a non-Stanley brand of a very similar style, you could get it and get something that looks very, very similar, feels similar to it, for probably half the price, maybe even a quarter of the price. And by the way, there are attachments for the cup, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Stanley. It could be any similar cup that's the same size. They have straw covers, they have these little snack things that go around it so you can put your snacks around the Stanley cup and drink from your cup. There's even been people that have posted like, I have a Stanley in every color, and it's just like, do you really need a Stanley in every single color? For a kid who's constantly evolving and changing what they like or dislike every few months, they are going to lose interest in this. This is something that is a trend. This is something that will be around, in my opinion, probably for a while, but I think right now is its peak interest, and it might have even more people interested in it over this next year, but then after that, I don't know if people are going to be as interested in it. If you look back a couple of years ago, what was popular? Oh yeah, the hydro flask. Not only that, but there was this type of aesthetic. They were called visco girls, and they were just girls that had scrunchies on their arms, had the hydro flask.
Hi, you must be new. Yeah, this is a new hydro flask. Oh, you don't have one? How do you make your friendship bracelets then? That's kind of weird. Well, save the turtles.
There was a theory that these girls didn't actually exist and this was all just a ploy to make the hydro flask popular. And whether or not that was true, the hydro flask was really popular for a period of time, and it seems like the Stanley Cup is the new hydro flask. This type of stuff has been going on for years, where a particular item has been hyped up in one way or another and used with marketing, try and get people to buy more items. I will say I think the Stanley Cup thing is more intense. I'm not even against camping out at a store to get a particular item. It's just that this is the first time I've ever seen anybody wait this long in a line for something like a cup. I remember when I was younger and games like Call of Duty came out, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we waited out of GameStop together with our friends, and those days were kind of fun because it was like an experience. We were all with our friends, we were having fun, they had like music and stuff playing in front of the line, and it was kind of like a big event. I actually hate playing Call of Duty. I'm very bad at it. But even if I enjoyed it, I would have enjoyed that day more than playing the game itself. I actually remember another time that, again, my boyfriend at the time, now he's my husband, and our friends, actually, we worked together at a store, and this was my first job ever. I had been there for about a year at that point, and it was a day off for most of us, and we spontaneously decided that we wanted to show up at our store early to get amiibos. It wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't like the console releases or the video game releases. There were maybe like 5 other people there waiting to get them. It wasn't crazy, but we had fun. We were sitting out front of the store playing Magic the Gathering until the doors open. We get the amiibos and we leave, and one of our friends actually had to work that day, and he had stayed up all night because he spontaneously decided that he wanted to do this at like midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning the night before, and we got up like really early to go and do this. So like the rest of us wanted to go home and go to bed. He had to work, but he decided to call out, and somehow he didn't get in trouble for that, but they were very mad. They like, just because he wasn't in trouble didn't mean they weren't mad. They were really mad, and they were kind of mad at us too. They were like, oh, so did you get your amiibos? Yeah, did you have fun with the amiibos? Oh, your one friend called out over the amiibos. Do you know that? I was like, oh, I didn't call out. It was my day off and I enjoyed it. I wasn't there at the release of a Stanley Cup, so I don't know how fun that was. Seeing videos of it didn't look very fun. Several videos started surfacing with fights breaking out at different Targets.
Why do you think you're tough? Like, you're pregnant. You must not care about your baby if you're running your mouth like that. Like, what you gonna do? Care about their baby? What are you talking? What you gonna do? I don't got a baby in my belly. You know what? I have respect for pregnant women, so I ain't gonna do. You don't. But I'm about to stop this fat ass pig. Look at this. Hey, yeah. Please stop. Look, we're calling law enforcement right now. We're calling law enforcement. Please stop. Turn it over. Don't touch me. No. It's okay.
It looked like people were just really cold and just waiting to get their cups. I don't know. I wasn't there. People could have had fun with it. It has less to do with the actual item itself and more to do with marketing. And we are all falling for it all the time. And I think that's how I want to end this video. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. I know this was really weird. It's kind of a breath of fresh air, not talking about something extraordinarily horrible. And I guess a good way to start off the new year, not talking about something absolutely awful. I did have another video that I have already filmed talking about the worst YouTubers of 2023 that we've covered here on this channel. I will be posting that in the very near future. Then from there, I want to talk about a lot of things. There are so many things I have thoughts on that I want to share with you, and I'm really excited to see where this year goes. No, I am not. I have anxiety. I get afraid for every day that comes next, but I'm trying my best. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon. Thank you so much to anybody who has given me a super thanks. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video where we talk about things that are way more serious than people going insane over a cup or Sephora products. See you later. Oh, and Happy New Year.